Hi, it's winter. Winter is in full force. It's freezing here in New York. My fingers are like practically gonna fall off. Um, and so I'm cozied up in my scarf. This is the best cashmere scarf, actually. It's by Cause. Where's that big ass tag? Yeah, clearly. Um, I've had this scarf once before, actually, and unfortunately lost it in a theater somewhere while I was working. I had it and then I didn't have it. My mother gave me an early Christmas gift by buying me a replacement one while I was just with her. I got back from Rome like 2 days ago, so I'm kind of just like adjusting to being back in New York. Let me check the audio on this clip and make sure it's working because it's always a nightmare. Okay, we're good. It's working. Everything is working. Um, what was I saying? Coming back to New York after 10 days or something, all of the leaves have fallen off of the trees, and it is just, yeah, we're in it. We're in winter. I think on Tuesday it's supposed to snow possibly, so we're full swing. Um, so what have I been doing? I have been, sorry, of course, as always, I start filming and Jacob goes in for the toy. So you're gonna hear gnawing on the bone for the next whatever amount of time. I've been just hibernating kind of for the past 2 days. Yesterday was kind of like my first full day here and just was reading and cooking and taking Jacob, my dog, for some walks because he kind of was tossed around many incredible friends that watched him while I was gone. My partner's also gone, so I was trying to give him just like a lot of love and yeah, reading, listening to podcasts, listening to music, listening to audiobooks. So I will kind of wrap up all those kind of things that I've been doing in a second, but that's basically what I've been doing. I've been just really like welcoming winter. Video is gonna get gradually more and more moody with the light going down and away. Cameras, you can see. It's like that gorgeous kind of light cotton candy colored winter sky that is so just magical. Generally, coming back to New York this time has felt really, really great. New York is just like a challenging place to be, place to live. And I think that sometimes when I come back here from being away, I have a harder time or just ask myself a lot of questions about being here and why and if it's realistic for my life and blah, 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 blah. And this time coming back, I feel really great about it. I feel like my home feels nice, the environment, like, I don't know. It feels comfortable and comfy and not like this monster that used to like scare me. So that's a very nice feeling. So I finished The Wax Child by Olga Raun while I was in Rome. This was like I started a little bit before I left, and then it was my airplane read, which I should have just like, I could have just finished it on the airplane, but actually I slept the whole time, which is amazing. So I read this kind of in a longer stretch than I thought I would, or that I feel like it should have taken me, and I think that has a little bit to do with my feeling about it. Like, somehow I was enjoying when I was reading it. But then I would put it down, and somehow I didn't feel like incredibly gripped to like go and pick it up again and continue. So it was kind of this strange thing where like I was enjoying it, but I also like kind of had to force myself to pick it up and to get through it. Um, Yeah, the book is following a 17th century Danish witch trial about a group of women, and one particular woman in this group creates a wax child. So basically, molds a child out of wax and kind of keeps it tucked in different places and buries it and uses it for different kinds of purposes. And this novel, which is really beautiful, really beautiful thing about this novel is just that the whole story is told through the eyes and the voice of the wax child. I love this kind of object that is given this whole perspective and life, and it kind of reminds me of what was so beautiful about The Employees, was that you feel like all those objects and things and textural elements of the environment and the book have very strong, like, they're very personified. There are some gorgeous parts in this. I mean, I think Olga Raun she's like one of my favorite authors. I think she's so creative. There are some passages in here that you're just like, wow, like she knows what she's doing. And then other parts of this that maybe felt a little bit repetitive and kind of, I don't know, less strong for me, less captivating. Somehow I kind of lost like who each woman was and kind of their relationships to each other, and yeah, something. So I think like out of all of the books that I've read of hers in English, which are all the books that she's had translated to English, I would say that this is my least favorite, but there's still so much that's really delicious about this book. I waited to get this copy in the mail because I pre-ordered it. It was already out here in the States, but this is the UK version, published by Viking, and there's a personalized spell written inside. So, yeah, shall I read it to you? Actually, I don't want to read it to you because it's personal. You can probably screenshot if you want. Should I turn on a light here? We're getting very dark. Really just truly can't be bothered to go get a light source, so we're gonna just work with this. What I really loved about this is the moments where the wax child is like kind of explaining how they know about what's being said. Like, so they say, these two men are having a conversation. How do I know that they're having a conversation? Because like the sap from the tree came out into the ground, into my ears, and that's how I knew what was going on. So like these kind of really beautiful, poetic, like creative ways that the wax child gets the information of the story and relates it to you as a narrator. I think that that is so singular and really, really interesting and beautiful. Wow, this is really like a witchy type video because we've got really no light in here. And then I picked up 2 books in Rome at my favorite bookshop that I always go to. And I went to this bookshop for one book this time because I was looking for the sequel to The Morning Star by Karlov Knausgaard, and I wanted the exact same cover because it's a series. So I realized that I had the UK cover because I bought it at that bookshop when I bought The Morning Star. And so I needed to go back there because I knew that I could get the second book in the same cover. So this is The Wolves of Eternity, which I am about 86 pages in and having a hard time with the main character. So I kind of took a little break from this, and I also thought that I was going to read this on my 9-hour flight back to New York from Rome, which was crazy long. It really shouldn't be that long. But I ended up sitting next to like a very interesting person on the airplane, which has been always my absolute nightmare. is that someone speaks to me on an airplane, like really just wants to have a conversation with me. But actually, he was very interesting, very sweet, and he was like moving to New York that day and had never been there before. Like, was sitting on the airplane on the way to New York, being like, I'm moving here today, and I've never even been there. So I just felt like, wow, what a moment in your life. It's following the same kind of concept of the first book, which is that a morning star, a new star appears in the sky. Jacob, you're like kind of shaking this table, and it looks like we're in an earthquake. Affects the people, the different characters in the books, and we get all of their perspectives. So the second book, this one, The Wolves of Eternity, goes to a different time with completely different characters, but the same kind of phenomenon that there's a new star in the sky. And the same kind of like big themes of like mortality, death, the cosmos, afterlife, like human existence, and is there something beyond human existence. So it has all of these kind of same themes. We're just following completely different people, and this 21-year-old boy that is like the first character in this is like irritating to me, and not very likable necessarily, and also not relatable. And I think he says homo already like 10 times in the first 86 pages. So it's giving like slight homophobic energy. But I'm always kind of like, how do I discern like whether it's like the character is like that or the author is like that, you know? Like, how do we really separate characters from authors? But I'm gonna definitely get through this. I took a break, and now I'm currently reading Big Kiss Bye Bye by Claire Louise Bennett, and I'm loving it. I'm absolutely loving it. I picked this up at the same bookshop. I just went for this one, but then I saw this one and I couldn't resist. And actually, I found the audiobook. She's reading it, and I love Claire Louise Bennett. I love Claire Louise Bennett, and I love her voice. And I don't listen to audiobooks that much, but I've said this, I think, on here before, that if an author is reading their own book, I just feel like it can add like can add just another layer to the work, because they're reading their own words. And I think that probably doesn't, isn't lovely in all cases, but like I did that recently with Pathamata, or The Story of My Mouth by Maggie Nelson, and it just adds a whole nother layer to it to hear her reading it. And so I feel the same with this one. So I started listening to it on the airplane in like the last hour, and I've continued since then, since I've been back hibernating here. The darkness gives me like this energy of like we're having a slumber party together, and we're like talking like with a flashlight under the tent. So I've been kind of in my hibernation days since coming back. I have been also listening to the audiobook. So yesterday I really just like made tea, laid on the couch, listened to Claire Louise Bennett, reading the book, and also sometimes opening and reading along with the book, which is a little bit harder for me because my reading is faster than the voice. So I kind of like, I'm going back and forth between listening and sitting down and reading it. But yeah, I'm really enjoying this. I would say out of all of her books, I find this one to be, if you've had difficulty with Claire Louise Bennett's books in the past, then I would suggest that you try Big Kiss Bye Bye, because I think it still has the very Claire Louise Bennett energy isms to it, the way that it's written, but something about it feels more like accessible, if you don't watch Petya's channel, she's amazing. And she was saying the same thing in her video, that she felt like if you're a big fan of Claire Louise Bennett's books, you won't be disappointed because it's very much in the vein of her, the way she writes. That's very singular, kind of stream of consciousness, very, very short sentences. So there's something kind of like rhythmical about it. And also, Petya said it really well in her video, that Claire Louise Bennett just does not really try to like bridge the gaps for you. And there is a certain like inconsistency in her work that actually I find really interesting. And before I film this, I've been just watching an interview with her on the Louisiana channel. And she talks about inconsistency and how a lot of publishers, when she started writing, were speaking about how they thought that she should make it more consistent, more like formally. I'm having major brain fog. What is going on? Wow, I cannot think of the word that I'm trying to use. This is driving me insane. Like just more accessible, more mainstream, more easier to understand. And if you can read my brain, please, and tell me what the fuck word I'm trying to look for. And she's like, no, but that would just be a totally different book than what I'm trying to write. Like, she writes about the self and a lot about being alone and without plot. And she's like, that would just be a different book if I tried to incorporate all these things. And there is a certain inconsistency that she thinks as a positive thing and many people find as a negative thing. So anyway, back to Petya's video, she was saying that, yeah, she doesn't really like try to bridge the gaps for you. So if you like Claire Louise Bennett and all of those things about her previous books, you won't be disappointed. You will like that about this book. But if those were harder, more challenging elements for you in her other books, this one might feel a little bit more accessible to you. I'm 109 pages in, out of 158. So I'm almost done. A woman who is moving from the city, I don't know if the city, but from wherever she's been living most of the time, into the countryside. Very Claire Louise Bennett style, the main character going kind of off on her own somewhere remote. And while she's doing that, she's kind of reminiscing on different relationships in her life, specifically one with Xavier, who is this kind of old man who she had a long kind of 6-7 year deep friendship with, but it wasn't clear if it's a friendship, if it's a relationship. He is clearly in love with her, she is in love with him, but not exactly like wants to be with him. And anyway, so they're kind of navigating sort of the ending of this 6-year situationship. I don't even know kind of what to call it. And part of it is like what connects you to someone and like the ambiguity of that. And also like an email exchange and a letter exchange that she has with a previous English teacher, like that she had 30 years ago, and their kind of correspondence, and other men that have come in and out of her life. And then especially with Xavier, who's getting old and may pass away at some point, and she's sort of dealing with not imagining not being there for the end of his life, but they're not really a couple, and she is sort of doesn't know how to be there for him for what she needs from him and to be for him, but she can't be for him what he wants her to be. And then these like, you know, kind of fragmentary moments, yeah, with like other men in her life. I'll just read you a small passage of the back. An unexpected letter from an old acquaintance brings back a torrent of others she's loved or wanted. Each has been a match or a mismatch, a liberation and a threat to her very sense of self. The ephemera left by their passage, a spilled coffee, an unwanted bouquet, a mind-blowing kiss, make up a cabinet of curiosity she inventories, trying to divine the essence of intimacy. That is it. It's like an inventory that she's taking of the intimacies in her life with different men. What does it mean to connect with another person? What impels us to touch, to be touched, to stay in touch? How do we let them go? Bennett explores the mystery of how people come in and out of our lives, leaving us forever in their grasp. So yeah, it's really great. It's beautiful. I'm loving it. That's kind of all I have to say for now, and I'm really enjoying listening to the audiobook. And there is one particular sexy passage, sexy passage of her. And sorry for like the intermittent blackouts that we're having here when the screen goes dim. These moments where there's one moment where she's like having a kind of hot kiss, like kind of sexual experience with this man, and the writing is so good, so beautiful, and the way that she narrates it in the audiobook is absolutely incredible. So highly recommend. She just describes the experience of being a human being in just a really specific, interesting way that I just really vibe with. So yeah, I'm feeling the kind of both solitary but also warm and good energy within the cold season that is approaching and upon us. And yeah, I'm ready for snuggles and soup and movies and reading. So yeah, let me know what you're reading, watching. I am gonna go see Sentimental Value tonight in an hour and a half, and I'm gonna have some udon after. I'm going with Candace, whose channel I link always, and I will link again. We're trying to encourage each other to film more. So yeah, we're gonna go see Sentimental Value. I'm excited. I think that will be very heartwarming. And I also, for Black Friday, very spontaneously ordered a podcast mic. So I don't know. I felt like I needed to do that. So let's see why I had that impulse. I actually think it's because I've been listening to Claire Louise Bennett's audiobook, and I've also been reading passages of the book out loud to myself and to Jacob, and maybe just thinking about narration and voice and like intonation and energy of the voice. So anyway, I got this podcast mic, so I'll let you know if I decide to do something creative with that. Okay. I'm gonna go turn some lights on. Hi, so I'm here to end the vlog, or the video, or whatever. I already filmed this once, but my computer is just all the time out of storage, so I had to do a deep dive and clear some stuff just to film this. The audio should sound better. I've upgraded to using my new podcast microphone. Hello. Anyways, it's not about that. It's about the fact that before we finish this video, I really needed to come and say how much I enjoyed Sentimental Value, the film that I went and saw with Candace last night. I urge you, if you are interested in seeing this movie, follow your impulse and go. And if you don't know anything about the film or weren't particularly like interested in going to see it, I really, really urge you to like just go. I think the film is so beautiful. We like sobbed in the audience, and I knew that as it was happening, like the credits were rolling, and I was like, I'm not okay. I'm physically not okay. and everyone in the theater is getting up and like wants to leave the theater, like wants to just clear out, and I need actually to sit here for 15 more minutes and cry. It like broke me into pieces. And yeah, it's just, but it was so cathartic. Like I love that experience after seeing a piece of art or a performance or from an album, or but especially like from sitting in a dark theater with a film like that just moves you so deeply. I love that experience. So I just think this film is gorgeous, and the performances were out of this world, really, really like out of control. Crazy, crazy, amazing. Like a masterclass in just realism and minimalism, also like not doing too much, but so human. And I feel like the way that this filmmaker, Trier, Joachim Trier, builds this film, like we were talking together, Candace and I, like in layers, it just arrives to like such an overwhelming like feeling that was through all of that work that he puts into the movie. And I feel like also we've seen these films before, that like a film that deals with making a film, so it's meta in that sense, or a film about an actor or actresses, or a film about theatricality. And I think like there were so many elements that could have really not worked, and they all worked so flawlessly in my opinion. So Nordic, so beautiful. The aesthetic and the way of storytelling, I just thought it was so great. So this, I just didn't want to finish this video. As I was editing, at the end of the last clip, I said that I was going to see the film, and I just enjoyed it so much. So I just wanted to pop on and say that. So that's it. Happy last day of November. I'm gonna finish editing this and upload it, and then that should be all. So hope you have a great December, and I'll see you soon. And feel free to comment below, and we can chat. So big hugs. Ciao.